Welcome back, guys. I am the man of steel X, and this is part 1 to What If Asta was Superman. Okay, where we last left off, if you haven't seen the previous part, I'm gonna do a small recap here. In the previous part, I basically just talked about how Asta got his powers, the use, these origins, and I'm gonna pick up where we left off. So, without any more to say, let's get started. Now, where we're going to pick up, you see Asta right here in the thumbnail. He's just in his normal clothes in in Hag's village right now. The usual. Just now at the grimoire ceremony, everything goes the same to canon. At the grimoire ceremony, this time Asta isn't all that depressed because, well, he's not powerless in this version. He actually has powers, and very powerful actually. So he's still a little sad that he didn't get a grimoire but hey, he congratulates on his four-leaf grimoire, and he says he's going to walk a little bit just to get his mind off it. He runs around Hajj for a good 10 minutes, see, until he runs into and he's getting, the usual. The same thing happens in canon. When Asta goes to stop him, that chain mage guy, he saw how Asta moved at super speed out of the whole, whole thing. So he knows he probably is very powerful. So he catches him. So he catches him with his chains. And for those of you wondering why the chains work in this version, Kryptonians aren't exactly, the best when it comes to magic. So yeah, it actually managed to restrain Asta. And then the guy keeps saying garbage shit, and then Asta gets a little, forgets about his power for a good minute and starts thinking maybe he can't be the Wizard King, maybe it's time for give up. And then reminds him why he can, and why that he's his rival, and the only person who can defeat him is him. And he gets the grimoire, and he smacks that nigga. Now, even worse than the enemy, he nearly kills him, nearly cuts him in half with his super strength, of course. So now we time skip to about 3 months later. All the things in the anime go the same to canon, but something happens. Asta's necklace begins to glow. I explained this in episode 1. The necklace he's wearing is the same crystal shard from Krypton. I explained it in episode 1, or part 1, whatever, or part 0, sorry. The crystal begins to grow. It's at night and everybody's asleep when the crystal begins to grow, and it flies away off of Asta's neck. It flies into a sort of cold place, like a cold magic region. If you don't know what magic regions are, they're kind of like, how can I say this? They're basically landmarks, places with high magic places, strong magic regions. Or yeah, just watch the anime, guys. I'm not in the mood to explain this. Oh yeah, when he gets to the same ice palace, the crystal begins to glow, to goes under the snow, and Asta thinks, what the heck, what just happened to my necklace? And then the fortress of solitude begins to grow, like usual. And then and then the doors open. Asta walks into this ice fortress of his. Just walking in. By the way, at this point, Asta can't fly. He only has super speed, so he ran after the thing. When he walks in, he finds a projector. When he walks in, he finds someone speaking to him. He walks, and then when he gets closer, he finds it's a person. in a red and blue tights with a cape and an S in the middle of their chest. This being, I can't remember the names. Was it Karel? I think I named him Karel in the. I think I named him Karel. Yeah, Karel, Asta's father, the son of Jonathan Samuel Kent, aka Superboy, aka the new Superman. You know what I mean. If you read the comics, you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, he begins to explain. Asta is all. He begins to explain Asta's origin, how he was born, how he got there, how everything happened. And Asta is just plain shock. He is shocked at what he just said. That he's half alien, and apparently he's the great grandson to one of the greatest heroes in the multiverse. Apparently he is pretty shocked right now, and he's kind of almost not believing it. And then he just thinks it just makes more sense. By the way, in this version, Asta is a genius. By the way, he's not an idiot by far, as we all know. Now that Asta is caught up, his father starts to ask him how strong he's gotten and how old he is at this point. Asta says he's 15 and he's not wimpy by any chance. As he asks him to go to a scanner. To go to a scan, he scans himself and he's baffled at his levels. Apparently, he's baffled at his levels. His progression is even greater than he was when he was a kid. Apparently, at at this point, he tests Asta in different tests. His strength, speed, durability, and the overall all the powers he has. His heat vision, temperature, you know. In terms of strength, he checks, and apparently Asta can lift about let me say one no too small 50,000 tons, and that says he's too small, so he gives him more and more until Asta reaches his limits about 2 million tons. And his father said that's good progression for him because he took because until he was an adult he couldn't lift that much. Speed, he clocks in about let's make it 50 times the speed of light. His heat vision, of course, it's harder than the sun, obviously. His durability, he's not really sure how to test it. He's in a realm of magic, so his durability wise, he's not weak though. He's not weak. He uses kind of this cannon they have in the Fortress of Solitude to hit Asta. And wow, it hurts. And I'm telling you, it hurts. This beam burns hard as the sun, but he manages to survive it. And no, and then he checks his healing temp, his frost breath, how far he's gone. Basically, his power is comparable to a 20 to a 20-year old, to a beginning young Clark Kent in power. And his grandfather is absolutely shocked at this. I mean, his dad, sorry, is absolutely shocked. So now they say, how fast can you fly though? And Izuku is actually, and oh sorry, and Asta is baffled what he means. Fly? I can't fly. Then he says, you haven't tested it yet. So then he gives us Asta his Kryptonian suit. And this is the suit he gives him. And in terms of looks, he basically looks a lot like a 17-year-old Jonathan Kent. For those of you wondering how he looks. As Asta begins to float off the ground, he gets out of the Fortress of Solitude. He begins to float. At first, then he tries to really rush it and jumps until he falls and hits the ground, crashing, bang, boom, bang. And then he says, focus, just focus He looks at the sun, takes a deep breath, and begins to ascend. Da-da-da. Just imagine the same way Clark did it in Man of Steel. He begins to fly slow until eventually he starts flying around over the entire Clover Kingdom. He goes from a strong magic region to strong magic region. He passes over villages. He passes through the capital, going fast. And the certain Wizard King just sees a red and blue blur in the sky. He passes over the Black Bull's headquarters, basically going around the Clover Kingdom until he stops and returns to the Fortress of Solitude. There, Jorel just tells him when he returns to the Fortress of Solitude, he talks to his dad, and his dad tells him that if you take up this mantle and become the Superman of this world, you will not serve just the Clover Kingdom, but the entire planet. You will not be limited. You will show what is your dream. He asks him, "What is your dream first?" Before I tell you all this, yes, he says, "My dream is to become the Wizard King, to end corruption around the Clover Kingdom, to prove that even the lowest commoner can make a big difference in the world." Good. As he begins to tell him, when you take up the mantle of Superman, the S on your chest here, that's not an S. That's a sim. That's the Kryptonian house of hell. L. Sorry, and that means hope. If you take it upon yourself, if you become Superman, you will serve the world. Are you ready? As he levitates above the ground and says, with proudly, happily, and confidently, "I am ready." So now he flies back to Haj's village, and everybody asking at Asta, "What are you wearing?" He begins to explain to them that what he's wearing is, as he begins to explain to him his origin, everything his dad taught him. And then they were baffled, they were shocked. He's an alien, but then they said, "Don't think just because you got that little title of yours, Superman, doesn't mean you're going to surpass me. I'm still I'm still going to become the Wizard King," which tells him. And Asta says, "Bring it on." So now let's time skip to the beginning of the. As they begin their journey to the Clover Kingdom capital, in this version they don't really take long, because since Asta can fly in this version, doesn't actually have to run with him. They take a few days, they stop by a house to stay in, and then the tournament begins tomorrow. So now, as the tournament goes on, in this version, Seke really, when the anti-birds try to come near Asta, he threatens to burn them with his heat vision if they keep bothering him. So now we walk on, and this time when Asta runs into Yami, when Yami grabs his head, Asta just grabs back and manages to grip Yami so hard. He moves his hand and pushes him away and just says, "Why are you trying to squash his brain?" Even though he couldn't, but he's pretty just. But hey, we needed in you humor, right? Right. And now we time skip to the whole. As you can see here, these are the tests, and this is what for the whole magic control thing. The one you see out here at the first. Asta just, just throws the paper and just shoots his heat vision through it. For this one, again, just uses his hurricane breath to destroy the wall. For the magic control thing, he basically kinda does a mini solar flare in his hand. Same with the last thing here. Now we get to the fighting part. And in this version, none of that, as you can see here. This time, it's a complete and utter flash. No one can even see Asta move. He's a blur. By the way, he's in costume, by the way. He's a complete and utter blur. Not even the captain saw him. No one. He bet to them they thought he teleported or something. Boom, destroys Seke. And when I mean destroy, this but over the few months he had before the entrance exam, he started to train his strength, so he wouldn't kill everybody if he goes too far. So now we time skip to the captains lifting their hands. In this version, 4 captains actually lift their hands. That being real, the one in white, the one with white here over here, this guy right here, real, Yami, oh, sorry, Yami, my man, Captain Vengeance, and Fuegodian. Sorry, I can't find the picture of Fuegodian right now. And Fuegodian. And first, Asta examines the captains that have lifted their hands. Real, he just thinks, no, and he picks the black bows. And I don't want to go through the reason. It's because it's the black bulls. Come on. Seriously. It's the black bulls. I'm going with the black bulls. No reason at all. I'm just going with the black bulls. I don't need a reason. So now they go back to the, and Asta introduces himself to the black bulls. The usual goes on. Magma tests him for a baptism, and in this version, Asta just moves like a blur, grabs Magna by the head, and boom, to the ground, boy. He just takes his head, boom, to the ground. He goes in pain, and Asta wins. They give him his robe, and his robe is kind of like how every black bull wears. By the way, his robe is kind of like how every black bull wears their robe in after the time skip. The way they put the whole in the middle it's showing, so his S can be shown. By the way, that's how he's going to be wearing the robe for now, at least. And I think this is a good part to end the what if off. So guys, part 2 will be coming out tomorrow. Me, I don't really need all that many likes, but please leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.